The story begins with a girl named Xiaolin, a 21-year-old rising actress who dreams of becoming famous. All the girl's hopes disappear when it is revealed that she is sick with leukemia and faints after experiencing shock. A few hours before, the girl had ordered a cab to go to an interview for a commercial. In the car, she happened to meet a millionaire Zhu, who reacted to the girl with surprise. Soon the girl received a call from the cab driver informing her that he had been waiting for her for more than 10 minutes. She realized that she had mixed up the car and felt very awkward about the situation. Rich and his driver Wenli decided to show understanding and drove the girl to the meeting place. Once outside the office, she met Chuyan, a popular actor and singer. Despite the girl's acting talent, he refuses to cooperate with her, choosing her to play the role of his comrade. A little later, Xiaolin went to the house of her boyfriend Jian and saw her half-naked friend in his apartment, guessing that they were lovers and betrayed her. Currently, the girl is sad and cries all night because in addition to the accumulated problems, she was diagnosed with leukemia. The only way to save herself is to find a suitable person who can become a bone marrow donor. The hospital has such a patient, but he is not ready for surgery right now, so Xiaolin has only one option: to undergo chemotherapy, which has a number of negative consequences. Realizing that this is not a good idea, the girl waits until the doctor leaves the office and searches for the name of a man who can become a donor. Having found out that it is Mr. Zhu, Xiaolin goes to her friend Jifei to devise a plan through which she will force the man to donate and share part of his bone marrow. Going to the gym, the friend distracts the attention of a security guard, and Xiaolin hurries to the pool to meet Zhu and tell him about her problem. The girl begs for help, but is flatly refused. In an attempt to blackmail the man, she jumps into the pool and pretends to drown. Zhu rescues the girl, but immediately leaves, so she has to continue her pursuit. Long attempts to change the man's mind bear fruit, and Zhu changes his mind, but says that he also needs help and will do the favor if Xiaolin agrees to his terms. The man demands a sham marriage and gives the girl a week to think about it. Jeffy assumes this is some kind of trap, as there are rumors that the rich man is in a relationship. A little later, the girl meets Zhu, and he asks her to accompany him to a jewelry exhibition, choosing one of the prepared dresses. After choosing the most suitable dress, the man gives Xiaolin a necklace and the couple goes to a gala event. During the party, the girl notices her former best friend and boyfriend, but tries to ignore them as if nothing happened. Meeting Xiaolin face to face, Jiang and Xinyang intimidate the girl and want to buy her necklace. Zhu appears and offers to make a deal and embarrasses the couple as the jewelry is worth $50 million and they don't have that kind of money. As a result, the couple has to apologize to Xiaolin and leave the party in a hurry. That same night, Zhu and Xiaolin visit the man's grandmother. The elderly woman is overjoyed that her grandson finally has a girlfriend. Xiaolin realizes that the rich man wants a sham marriage just to avoid upsetting the old lady, so she decides to agree to his demands. The next morning, Zhu prepares a marriage contract, according to which the girl will not claim his money and a divorce. The term of the contract is 2 years, during which Xiaolin must live in her husband's house. Soon after, the couple goes to the hospital and conducts the promised operation, thanks to which the girl fully recovers. Returning to the rich man's house, the girl learns that his father passed away several years ago, and his mother lost her sanity and became a very cruel person. A little later, Xiaolin gets into an awkward situation for the first time, seeing her husband in the same row. At the same time, Anren, a childhood friend of Zhu and Chuyan, shows up at his house. Xiaolin is upset as the rich man tells his friends that they are husband and wife. Back home, Chuyan learns from his father that he must marry Anren as her family is very rich. During breakfast, Xiaolin and Zhu realize that they have a lot in common, but they don't know anything about each other. As it turns out, it is the girl's birthday today, but the man has not prepared a present for her. Going to the agency, Xiaolin learns that soon there will be a high-profile event with stars and a red carpet, but no one invites her. Hoping to get to the party, the girl turns to Agent Chuyan for help, and she promises to help her in this situation. In the evening, the young couple invites Zhu's grandmother and guests to the restaurant to have dinner in their company. The girl slips her husband food that he hates but is forced to eat so as not to reveal the fact that their marriage is a sham. Chuyan is suspicious of Xialing and asks Zhu to be more careful with the girl, assuming she is using him. In the evening, Chuyan and Anren go to a cafe where they continue to drink, after which the guy tries to confess his feelings. At the same time, Xialing allows herself too much and, having drunk wine, unexpectedly kisses Zhu, which shocks the man. The next morning, the girl wakes up with a bad hangover and can't remember anything that happened the previous night, including the accidental kiss with Zhu. A little later, the man gives his wife an engagement ring so that her grandmother has no reason to suspect them of cheating. Appearing at work, Xiaolin learns of the latest gossip and decides to help an acquaintance fall in love with a man, despite the fact that it is Zhu we're talking about. After sneaking into his bedroom, the girl looks for hints about what he likes and finds a baby photo with a toy robot. Soon after, a coworker goes to Zhu's place with the exact same robot. Upon seeing it, the man becomes sad and urgently leaves the office. A few minutes later, he returns, realizing that behind all this is Styalin, who dreamed of helping her colleague to get to the gala event. Feeling guilty, the girl decides to buy her husband a beautiful tie to apologize for what happened. Noticing that another buyer takes the thing away, the girl persuades him to return the tie and gets her way. At night, she decides to give the tie as a gift and the man seems to forgive her. In addition, Zhu recalls the events of last night and the fact that the girl kissed him, and this shocks Xialing. The next morning, the girl wears a beautiful dress for the red carpet but unfortunately stains it with paint while walking down the stairs. Chuyan notices what happened and informs her that it is a silk dress that costs several $1,000s. Xiaolin tries to wash the stain, realizing the price of the dress, but to no avail. She tells Zhu what happened, but he reacts surprisingly calmly, saying that she has hundreds of other dresses and can wear any of them. Despite this, the girl still fails to make it to the red carpet as she breaks a heel and injures her foot. Xiaolin is sad, but Zhou supports her and helps her treat her leg with painkilling ointment, after which he kisses the girl on the forehead, which makes her embarrassed. The next day, Zhu learns that rumors about him and his wife have surfaced on the internet. Realizing that he needs to make a statement on social networks and calm the public, the man asks Xiaolin to create an account, which has thousands of subscribers in seconds. A little later, the girl goes for a walk and finds a cute dog tied to a bench. Thinking that the owner is missing somewhere, Xiaolin takes the animal home and secretly takes him inside while her husband is not at home. In the morning, Zhu discovers the dog in his bed and tries to kick it outside, but Xiaolin asks him to calm down and promises to take care of the animal. Soon, she receives a call from the dog's owner, who asks her to look after the dog until he returns home. A while later, Xiaolin and her friend go to a movie theater, where she meets Chuyan. The guy becomes uncomfortable and starts coughing, after which he leaves the hall, forgetting his cell phone. Noticing this, Xialing decides to return the cell phone and notices that the guy has gotten sick. He has asthma and without an inhaler, he can't breathe, so the girl decides to do everything to help him. At the same time, Anren tries to seduce Zhu, but her advances are thwarted by an assistant who reports the incident with Chuyan. After a long search, Xiaolin finds an inhaler and saves the guy. He reports that Zhu doesn't like dogs, but not because of fear, but because his evil father kicked his favorite pet out of the house by tying the dog up in the middle of the road. It was from then on that Zhu became cold and cruel, unable to show feelings for anyone. When he returns home, Zhu thanks his wife for taking care of his friend, but advises her not to go out alone with him because people will perceive them as a couple, which will lead to more rumors and gossip. The next day, Xiaolin decides to prepare a special dinner to celebrate their wedding anniversary, but her husband is greatly delayed. At the same time, Anren calls him and claims she is so drunk she can't stand on her feet. The man goes to her place to help her, but it turns out that the girl tricked him into having dinner for the two of them. After rejecting Anren, Zhu returns home and notices a celebratory dinner. Xiaolin didn't wait for him and starts to eat dinner without her husband. The man presents a box, inside of which are documents that shock Xiaolin. The girl is so inspired that she decides to make a new cake and does not refuse Zhu's help, which seems very romantic in consequence of which the couple kisses and celebrates the anniversary. At lunchtime, Xiaolin decides to go for a walk with her friend, but they are met by Zhu and invited to dine at a restaurant. Here, Jifai also confesses that the landlord wants to kick her out and she has nowhere to live. Wenli's assistant shocks the girl by offering her to stay at his house. A little later, Xiaolin goes to the owner of the dog to return the animal and is surprised to find that this is the guy she met at the clothing store. Nanjin seems nice and friendly, so the girl chats with him before leaving the dog and returning home. A couple of days later, Xiaolin packs her suitcase and heads to the set for the filming of a new movie. Here she also meets Anren and an actor named Liu, who is extremely excited about the movie. During the filming process, Liu tries to socialize with Xiaolin several times and approaches her too brazenly, making the girl feel uncomfortable. Liu is persistent, but Achuyan appears, who protects Xiaolin and allows her to get out of the difficult situation. A little later, the girl accidentally overhears Achuyan talking to her father, stating that he doesn't want to marry Anren. Noticing that Xiaolin overheard the conversation, the guy gets angry with her and the conversation ends in a quarrel. During lunch, Liu tries to get the talented actress drunk, but Achuyan appears at the right moment and rescues the girl again. An offended Liu takes some photos of the couple together to make a scandal out of it. After hearing from his best friend that someone is trying to harm his wife, Zhu rushes to the set and takes Xiaolin to a hotel, then gives her a snow-white puppy. At night, Zhu reveals his biggest secret to his wife, but she falls asleep and hears nothing. A little later, the couple wakes up because of the Krakens, as two criminals have broken into the hotel and are threatening the manager and owner over a large debt. Zhu instantly ends the conflict by stating that he is willing to repay the full amount of the debt. The manager thanks the man for his generosity, and he offers the girl to become his wife's personal assistant. The next morning, Xiaolin goes to the shooting of the movie and learns that it has been cancelled. At the same time, she gets a call that her husband has had an accident, as a result of which he ended up in the hospital. As it turns out, a drunk driver hit Zhu, but he got away with a concussion and a broken leg. After visiting her husband, Xiaolin tries to kiss him, but Zhu rejects her. It soon becomes clear that in addition to his injuries, he has lost his memory and can't remember what happened to him in the last couple of years. As a result, Zhu once again becomes an aggressive and rude man who rejects his wife. A friend suggests Xiaolin to show concern for her husband to return his love for her, but he gets angry all the time and pushes the girl away. To make matters worse, he begins to treat Anren well, causing Xiaolin to become jealous of her husband and realize that their marriage will soon break down. At the same time, Liu publishes a photo of Xiaolin with Achuyan, which further complicates the girl's situation. The next morning, the girl goes outside to walk the dog and meets Nanjin, telling him about all her problems. The guy advises her not to try to make her remember the past, but to create new memories so that Zhu will fall in love with her again. Heeding the advice, Xiaolin finds the book 36 Ways to Fall in Love with a Man and tries to use each of the methods, but it does not bring the expected result. Anren courts Zhu and tries everything to make him fall in love with her. Noticing Achuyan and Xiaolin next to each other, Anren says that they are too close, but for some reason this causes Zhu to have a jealous attack. He doesn't remember anything, but he knows he is married to Xiaolin, so he scolds the girl, not allowing her to get close to his friend. Soon the man returns home and gets back on his feet, but continues to suffer from memory loss, which leads to constant quarrels with Xiaolin. The girl asks her husband's friend to help her, and Achuyan offers to buy Zhu some new clothes. Xiaolin cooks a healthy meal, but the dish turns out to taste terrible. A little later, Xiaolin approaches Lisa, saying that she wants to take part in a celebrity competition. The manager refuses the girl, but Agent Achuyan is willing to support her and take her to the competition. The next morning, Xiaolin gives all her strength and wins the race. In the evening, the couple invites Achuyan and Anren to dinner. At some point, Zhu flirts with his childhood friend and Xiaolin out of jealousy begins to do the same with his friend. This soon leads to another fight, after which Xiaolin decides to use sexy lingerie to make her husband fall in love with her again. She dances and seduces her husband, but instead of the expected reaction, Zhu kicks his wife out of the house. Unable to return, she turns to Nanjin for help and does not return home until late at night when Zhu is asleep. At one point, her husband notices a sad Xialing and decides to kiss her, but she rejects the man. She doesn't want to live with him anymore, as Zhu is not the man he used to be. The next morning, Xialing apologizes for her rudeness and leaves an inscription with the word sorry on the pill vial. She soon meets up with Chuyan to ask for advice, but they are spotted by the boyfriend's father's assistant and take some photos. Upon returning home, Xialing eats a lunch of soup that Anren has made and passes out. The next morning, Anren brings a new soup, but the man doesn't eat it and only pretends to fall asleep. The girl takes advantage of the situation and puts the man on the bed. Seeing a familiar necklace, he gets out of bed abruptly and kicks Anren out, after which he sends her soup to the lab and is convinced that it contains sleeping pills. The doctor suggests that even this drug may have caused the temporary memory loss, but it gives hope that Zhu will soon remember everything. Chuyan's father invites Xialing to his house and forbids the girl to communicate with his son. She tries to explain that they are just friends as the guy suddenly appears, who quarrels with his father. The conflict reaches the point where the man accidentally hits Xialing on the back with his cane, but at that time, Zhu appears in his house, informing him that Xialing is his wife. Upon returning home, Zhu gives the girl a back massage and she confesses her feelings to him. After kissing her husband, Xialing realizes that he has remembered everything and they are now a happy couple again who can spend time together. The next day, Zhu meets with Anren to tell her that he has remembered everything. As it turns out, after the accident, he was taken to a warehouse where he was subjected to hypnosis that erases his memory. Anren is exposed and asks to forgive her, but Zhu rejects the girl and asks her to forget about their friendship once and for all. After returning home, Zhu tells Xialing about all this, which finally fixes the relationship between the spouses. Soon Xialing visits a TV program where she has to perform a certain task. The girl must confess her love and at this moment she receives a call from her husband. She hopes that Zhu will say the cherished words, but he offends his wife and ends the call. The voice of the rich man is recognized, as a result of which it generates rumors on social networks, and the couple is criticized. Upon returning home, the girl finds a safe in the closet, but her husband does not allow her to open it. A couple of days later, the couple goes on a trip with their friends and attends a small party where Xialing meets Nanjin. Soon the girl has some liquid added to her juice, causing her to become dizzy. Someone could have taken advantage of this, but the husband happens to be nearby and takes his wife to the hotel room. The next morning the couple spends time together, after which they return home. The girl feels ill again, and she goes to the hospital, where she learns that she has anemia, which is a consequence of leukemia. The doctor asks for a medical report, and the girl opens the safe, where she finds the documents and learns that she never had leukemia. When her husband returns home, she demands an explanation, and it turns out that the hospital is owned by the Zhu family. He falsified the tests in order to thus force the girl to start a relationship with him. Xialing gets angry, and this leads to an argument, after which she faints. The doctor informs her that the girl has suffered a shock and needs 24 hours to rest and regain consciousness. The next morning she wants to leave the liar's house, but there are guards at the exit who won't let her out. After calling Zhu, Xialing makes a scandal and packs her things to escape, but the housekeeper doesn't allow her to do so. After meeting Xialing, Zhu admits that he did all this only because he fell in love with her and wanted to be near her. Trying to find a way out of the situation, Xialing calls Chuyan and asks her to help her escape. After locking her husband in a room, the girl distracts the guards to escape, but on the way out she runs into Zhu's grandmother. The man confesses that he was in love with Xialing before he was rich and was doing everything to meet her and become her husband one day. He tries to apologize for his act, but Xialing is offended that he didn't consider her feelings and desires. Eventually, the girl goes to her friend's house to tell her everything that has happened to her. After rejecting Zhu, Xialing looks for a new home and goes to work. At the same time, Chuyan meets up with his friend and teaches him about life, forbidding him from playing with Xialing's feelings and punching Zhu in the face. The next morning, Chuyan meets Xialing and suggests a walk together, while Zhu wakes up with a hangover. Grandma asks Zhu to regain his wife's trust. After meeting Xiaolin, he promises to do anything to bring her home so that they can be a beautiful couple in love again. After rejecting her husband, Xiaolin goes to work dressed as Mario, and in the evening he asks her out on a date. A couple days later, the girl meets with a businessman to discuss a juice commercial. After drinking the drink, she realizes that she is intoxicated because something has been added to the juice. Achuden notices the girl and tries to help her, but Xiaoling sees him as her husband and asks if he loves her. Achuden suddenly answers yes, and this is caught on a hidden camera set up by Anren and Nanjin, who are trying to quarrel the couple. Soon Zhu appears on the scene and takes his wife home and receives the hidden camera video in the morning. The next morning, Xiaoling meets Achuden at the pier and helps him from falling into the water, unaware that someone is taking pictures of them again. Achuden admits that he is in love, but won't say the name of the girl he has feelings for and asks Xiaolin for advice on how to handle the situation. Achuden's father also receives a compromising video and hits his son, causing him to hit his head and end up in the hospital. After hearing what happened, Xiaolin rushes to the hospital and meets the boy's father. He wants to hit the girl, but Zhu protects his wife and then Achuden, as he is not the native son of the tyrant father and the rich man wants to prove it, so that the friend gets freedom and independence. A little later, Zhu talks to his friend and doesn't blame him for falling in love with Xiaoling, as they will still be best friends. A little later, the assistant reports that Achuden has lost his life. Xiaolin sees the news of the fire at the hospital and meets with her husband, learning that the fire started in their friend's room. The couple takes the incident hard, after which Xiaolin closes in on herself and refuses to let her husband go out with her as she wants to be alone. Zhu does not allow this and takes his wife home to comfort and support her in her time of need. The police soon arrive and report that they found an earring at the scene, assuming it was left by the perpetrator, though in fact Achuden picked it up on the pier when Xiaolin dropped the jewelry. The police assume that the guy was robbed of his life on purpose, and Zhu recognizes his wife's earring. The couple goes to the pier to reconstruct a picture of the events and get a photo that gives the impression that the girl tried to push Achuden into the water. Upon returning home, the couple encounters the police, who have also obtained the photo. The girl has no alibi, making her the prime suspect in the crime. Zhu tries to find the sender of the photo but is unsuccessful, so he bails his wife out to be temporarily released home. The couple visits the deceased's father to express sympathy. Soon people are divided into two camps of those who believe Xiaoling is innocent and vice versa, who want her to be sent to jail as soon as possible. Everyone on the internet thinks she is a criminal and believes Zhu is an accomplice since he bailed his wife out. In the evening, Zhu holds a press conference to announce that he is married to Xiaoling. At the same time, Anren appears and shows reporters photos and videos of the girl next to the late Achuden. Anren claims that they were secret lovers and Xiaolin took his life so that her husband would not find out the truth. Zhu shocks everyone present as his friend Achuden is alive and well. They decide to tell the truth about the fire and everything that happened that day. Shortly before the fire, a nurse came to the room and gave the boy an injection that made him fall asleep. Anren organized the fire, having previously kidnapped Achuden and planted another corpse in his place. The guy managed to escape from the surveillance of the guards to tell the truth, thanks to which the police arrests Anren. Later it turns out that Achuden escaped not on his own, but with the help of a beautiful girl Tong, with whom he fell in love. Anren is sent to prison, but Zhu is sure that the girl could not have acted on her own, and probably the main criminal is still at large. Soon his father meets Achuden and asks him to return home, but the guy refuses, which makes the man feel bad. Showing sympathy, the son returns home and learns that it is really his own father, who could not live with his mother, as he was engaged to another girl and adopted him when the opportunity arose. The couple argue, but Zhu finds his wife on the bus and takes her in his arms and carries her to his car. She does not want to live with him and makes a list of wishes that her husband must fulfill in order for Xiaoling to return to his home. After agreeing to all the demands, Zhu signs the document and kisses Xiaolin. Soon the couple begins to live in the same house again. Afraid to leave Xiaolin alone, Zhu takes her to work with him, but this has a negative effect on his efficiency, causing many problems in the company's affairs. The employees of the company ask Xiaolin to spend less time with her husband, and at the same time the girl gets the main role in a new movie. Soon she starts preparing for the role, and her husband gives her earrings with a built-in tracking device to always know her location. The next morning, Xiaolin decides to buy clothes for her husband and notices that she is being followed. As it turns out, it is Zhu's mother, with whom he has no contact. Trying to understand the reasons behind this, Xiaolin calls her husband's assistant and asks to know more about the story. A friend offers Xiaolin the lead role in her romantic movie, and she promises to think about it, but is afraid to star with Chuan, assuming that he still has feelings for her. A little later, the girl meets her mother-in-law and learns that her husband was violent, which caused the woman to leave home and abandon her son. Now she is afraid to talk to Zhu, believing that he will not want to listen to her. Xiaolin decides to help her husband and his mother reconcile and invites the woman to her home. Upon seeing the mother, Zhu immediately kicks her out, which upsets Xiaolin. In the evening, he apologizes for his rudeness and confesses that the robot in the photo is his mother's first and last gift to him. He still loves her, but is angry because his mother abandoned him when he was a child. The next morning, Xiaolin invites her husband's mother to visit again, but their communication is hindered by Nanjun calling Zhu's mother his mother. Wanzhou asks Nanjun to stay away from Zhu, but the guy grabs her by the neck, indicating that he will do as he sees fit. Soon, the internet starts criticizing the businessman for rejecting his mother. Zhu knows Nanjing's real late mother and realizes that Wanzhou has become his stepmother. In the morning, Wanzhou gives an interview and admits that she is the one who abandoned her son and deserves his hatred. Meanwhile, Nanjun meets Xiaolin and invites her to a cave, where he claims he came to Beijing to reconcile mother and son. During the conversation, Xiaolin feels nauseous and, after buying a pregnancy test, she discovers that she is expecting a baby. Without saying anything to her husband, the girl only tells her friend about the pregnancy to go to the hospital with her. A couple of days later, Xiaolin's birthday arrives and she decides it's time to announce her pregnancy. After learning that her husband is at the airport, Xiaolin goes to see him but disappears. Zhu finds his wife's car and realizes that someone broke it on purpose, and the girl herself disappeared, becoming a victim of kidnapping. Finding herself held hostage, Xiaolin asks for her earrings back, pretending that it is a memorabilia. After receiving the jewelry, she activates a signal for her husband to get coordinates with her location. Nanjun is an accessory to the crime and guesses about the beacon, so he takes the girl to another location. Zhu tracks down the earrings and finds them in a trash can. He turns to Anren for help, but she is in jail and won't cooperate. At night, Zhu gets drunk and is kissed by the girl, after which journalists publish a photo of the event. Chuan punches his friend in the face for cheating, and in the evening, he gets drunk again. Nanjun admits that he wants Zhu to lose the people closest to him and will try to ruin his life. Jeffai tells Zhu that Xiaolin is pregnant, and this motivates him to find a wife even more. After setting an intellectual trap for Anren, the man becomes convinced that her partner in crime was Nanjun. A little later, Zhu talks to his mother and learns that Nanjun's mother lost her life after seeing her husband with his mistress, who was Wanzhou. That's why the stepson hates her and wants to take revenge on Zhu. Rich and the police continue to search for Xiaolin, but find the right hotel room too late as Nanjun has changed her location again. The criminal transports Xiaolin to her new home and leaves her in Tong's care. During the conversation, the girl learns that Tong was from a poor family and her father sold her to the criminals when he owed them money. Nanjun ransomed her from captivity, so the girl is loyal to the criminal and will serve him no matter what he does. Distracting Tong's attention, Xiaolin seizes the moment and locks herself in a room with her cell phone, but Nanjun won't let her call the police. Knowing Xiaolin is pregnant, the kidnappers force her to eat, but the girl flatly refuses, asking only for pencils and pieces of paper. Taking one of the drawings, Nanjun meets Zhu and gives him the drawing. Left alone, Zhu guesses that the drawing is a hidden message with a location. He begins to analyze his wife's drawing and gets a result, after which he calls the police and rushes to the house where Xiaolin is being held. Realizing that there is no way to escape, Nanjin ties up the girl and threatens her with a gun. Realizing that the criminal will take the pregnant girl's life, Tong betrays him and pushes him away. Losing his gun, Nanjin starts fighting with Zhu and shoots him in the chest, then escapes before the police arrive. It is soon reported that Nanjin's car has fallen into the sea, but the police have not been able to find his body. Zhu is in the hospital and is in a coma, after which his heart stops, but doctors bring the man back to life. The shareholders want to suspend Zhu, but his assistant handles the company's affairs. After learning the names of the shareholders, Xiaolin and Wanzhou meet with them, after which Zhu's mother becomes the head of the company. It soon becomes clear that it is Wanzhou who is the main villain, and Nanjin is just her pawn. Achuian gives up his career as an actor and becomes a businessman helping his father. At the same time, Zhu comes out of his coma and meets with his mother to tell her that they will never be close. Nanjing not only turns up alive, but also kidnaps Xiaoling again, tying her to a tree in the forest. This time, the police arrive in time and arrest the culprit. A few months later, the couple celebrates their second anniversary. During the party, Zhu's assistant proposes to Xiaolin's best friend to become his wife. At the same time, Xiaolin begins to give birth and the couple has a wonderful baby boy, and soon after that the girl becomes a famous actress.